A new episode of FinScale will be available in a few days. Solène Niederkorn and her guests will reveal new initiatives transforming the world of finance. Enjoy the show.
But clearly for us, right, we see most potential in the vertical and embedded space, and especially on the embedded side, as there's by now so many platforms with great distribution that have some form of relationship around a financial product already with customers, that helping them to integrate investing for us seems to be the greatest leverage out there to get more people into capital markets.
If we take example of real companies in each of these use cases, what are the typology of companies that are looking for such solutions?
I think if you go to the first one around vertical, right, I think this is fintechs, wealth managers, brokers. That would be the typical kind of clientele for these use cases. Second one, embedded, is really kind of banks, platforms, right? Everyone that's working on becoming a super app or kind of somewhat in that direction. And then I think for the third bucket, we mostly talk about companies that come more from a software or technology angle. So that's kind of the way how I would think about it.
And how did you have this idea? Is it something that you saw from the US, or is it something that popped up in your head?
Well, I think for us it was more a process of realizing, okay, there's so many different use cases out there. Like we need to categorize them in some form, and we need to do them justice in understanding, okay, how important is investing there? How important is it for those companies? How important is it for their customers? And what way does it need to be positioned to work? And so we're seeing those many different use cases. And yes, of course, right, you could say, hey, this is a bank and the bank always needs this. Or you could say, hey, this is a robo-advisor, the robo-advisor always needs this. But for us, one of our principles is customer first. And so we wanted to apply some form of framework that helps us think about this from the customer's perspective. And that's kind of what we try to do here, as in thinking, okay, why does the customer come to this product and consume this product? And what role does investing play here? And that's very much the way how you can look at it, right? If someone comes to one of these vertical use cases, right, investing is the clear reason why a customer comes to this company. And so they need to be very differentiated. They need to have worked out a good strategy. And then, the more it goes, right, embedded, the customer doesn't really come for the investing probably, but if they are around, then you can get them into it because it could be very much driven by convenience. And then the last round is like, okay, the customer doesn't really come for it at all. They come for a very different problem. But if you can use investing to help them get a better experience or result, or help the company achieve greater degree of profitability, that could be interesting. And so that's kind of the way how we thought about it. And I think it's one framework to look at this market and to look at use cases. Not the only one, but one framework that can help categorize what's going on out there.
Okay, so I'm coming from wealth management. I've been working for quite a while in private banking, and I precisely understand, because I've done it many times. When you execute an order, you just give a call to the trader, and then it goes through the process, and you have the different constellation of depository banks and sub-custodians, etc. So in that, in your precise case, how is it working concretely? And how do you abstract regulatory, technical, and operational complexity for all those partners?
Well, a super detailed question. Maybe let's start on a bit higher level, right? So you mentioned correctly all the different kind of participants in that chain. The value chain of investing needs specialists, different specialists to do different things. And that's intentionally designed in this way by the regulator. So that you can make sure that the customer gets the best price and quality. So at Lemon Markets, right, we are a regulated broker dealer and an investment firm basically here in Germany. And so what we can do and where we start is basically we can take the order from the customer and then we can bring it to the market. There we have the first, let's say, partner that we meet in the chain, right? Because you need to execute this order somewhere. Usually you do this on an exchange. If you buy a mutual fund, you do this sometimes directly with the transfer agent or the fund house. So that's one partner that we have in the chain is the different execution venues and execution partners. Once you have made the trade on the customer's behalf, now the next step comes in, which is okay. You need to perform some way of getting the shares into your custody and giving the other party cash to settle, right? There, it's important that you have a good payment infrastructure, and therefore, we have partners on that front as well. And then last but not least, as I mentioned, right, you need to store the assets that you got somewhere, and for that we are using BNP as our custodian, as well as all funds for all things kind of mutual funds.
Thank you for listening to FinScale. Don't hesitate to subscribe to the newsletter on Substack to stay up to date with the latest innovations. You can also find the podcast in audio format on all listening platforms and in video format on YouTube. See you soon with Solène Niederkorn.